This coin almost ended up forgotten at the bottom of a coffee can, but one collector realized it was no ordinary penny, and when the truth came out, the entire coin world was left in disbelief, because this single 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that most people would spend without a second thought, has sold for prices climbing toward $1.8 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket for loose change, pulling out a simple brown penny, and not knowing that it's a once-in-a-lifetime. Treasure collectors are stunned, dealers are whispering, and treasure hunters are scouring their jars and drawers for one specific coin that could rewrite their lives in an instant. But how could a common 1989 penny, one of the billions produced, become one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history? The answer lies in a mystery that starts with a minting mistake, a tiny, almost invisible flaw that separates a million-dollar miracle from an ordinary cent, and here's where it gets even. Stranger, most 1989 pennies look identical. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front, the Lincoln Memorial on the back, no mint mark beneath the date. It all looks so ordinary, so common, so forgettable, but hidden among these billions are a handful of coins with shocking details that even experienced collectors missed for decades. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Because one penny, discovered in a simple box of coins, carried the error that turned it into a fortune. It wasn't just a coin anymore, it was a golden ticket, a door into history, a key that unlocked almost $2 million. Dealers began to whisper in hushed tones, check your 1989 pennies, check every single one. Because the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth over $1 million could be a single tiny mistake made at the Philadelphia Mint more than 3 decades ago. Think about it. In 1989, the U.S. Mint was running at full speed, churning out billions of Lincoln Memorial cents. Copper-plated zinc blanks flew through the presses, one after another, at breathtaking speed, but every so often, something went wrong. A die cracked, a strike doubled, a mint mark disappeared, and in those brief mistakes, history was made. Collectors know the thrill of spotting a doubled die, the letters, the numbers, even Lincoln's face appearing to echo itself in shadows of metal, and in 1989, one such doubled die was born. The inscription showed ghostly doubling, the details whispered of a minting slip-up that most people never noticed. They held in their hand what experts now call one of the rarest, most valuable modern pennies ever created, and here's where the story turns electric, because one man, while sorting through a box of pennies, noticed something odd. The letters weren't right, the coin didn't look like the others. He sent it off to be graded, expecting maybe a small bump in value. But when the graders examined it, the results shocked them. This wasn't a normal penny, it was a treasure worth a staggering fortune. Collectors gasped, dealers rushed, news spread like wildfire across numismatic circles. A penny, a 1-cent coin, now worth nearly $2 million. It's doubling, it's flawless. Strike, and its extreme rarity. There are billions of ordinary 1989 pennies, but coins like this, they can be counted on one hand, and rarity is the heartbeat of value in the coin world. And yet, the story doesn't end there, because as the price climbed, so did the obsession. Collectors began dumping out jars, scouring every penny they owned. Grandparents looked through old piggy banks. Dealers tore apart collections, all searching for the one coin that could turn a life upside down. And here's the cliffhanger you didn't see coming. Many people have handled this exact penny without realizing it. It has passed through hands, slipped through registers, jingled in pockets. It has been close to being lost forever, but fate saved it, long enough for one sharp-eyed collector to recognize its true identity. And here's the part that makes collectors' hearts race. This isn't just a coin, it's a time capsule. A mistake preserved in copper-plated zinc. A hidden gem born in a year when nobody was watching, and now it's worth nearly $2 million. But let me ask you something, would you recognize it if it slipped into your hand at a gas station? Or would you spend it, unknowingly giving away a fortune for a pack of gum? Because here's the truth, most people do, or most people miss it. They never check, they never look closely enough, and they pass over the very coin that could change their lives forever. Collectors, listen closely. If you want to know whether your 1989 penny could be the one, you must look for the details, check the date, check the lettering, look for doubling on the words liberty, on in God we trust, on the date itself. If the letters seem doubled, shadowed, or distorted, you might be holding the treasure that others overlooked. And condition matters. A coin in pristine condition, no scratches, no wear, full mint luster, will bring in far more at auction than one that's been through decades of circulation. Collectors pay astronomical premiums for coins graded in the highest categories. That's why one coin can sell for hundreds, while another, identical at first glance, rockets past $1 million. But don't make this mistake, assuming all 1989 pennies are valuable. They aren't. Only a select few with the error, the doubling, and the right grade have skyrocketed in price. That's what separates 1 cent from $1.8 million. So next time you pick up a penny, don't dismiss it, hold it to the light, examine every letter, because you just might be Holding history in your hand, and here's the final truth that should send shivers down your spine. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, quiet, hidden, overlooked, yet it holds the power to change your life forever. A single 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, worth up to $1.8 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but today, it's worth nearly $2 million. A simple 1994 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, no silver, no gold. Just a plain copper-plated coin that millions of Americans carried in their pockets. Yet hidden among those everyday cents, one shocking discovery turned the coin world upside down, and it could happen again. Collectors couldn't believe their eyes. Dealers were stunned. How could a penny minted in 1994, a year so ordinary in the world of coinage, suddenly command a value of up to $1.9 million? The answer lies in secrets most people never see. Tiny details. Hidden minting mistakes. And the rarest of errors that slip past even the watchful eyes of the US Mint. But here's where the story takes an unexpected twist. Because in 1994, millions of Lincoln pennies were struck in Philadelphia without a mint mark. That's normal. But tucked away in this sea of common sense, a few extraordinary survivors tell a different story. Coins that carry doubling, misstrikes, or subtle variations that can elevate them from pocket change to priceless treasures, and one of these very coins, a simple 1994 no-mint mark penny, shocked the entire community when it appeared at auction. The bidding started modestly. A few hundred. Then a few thousand. But within minutes, the price shot higher, faster than anyone predicted. Collectors fought tooth and nail. Dealers raised their paddles. And as the room fell silent, the hammer dropped at nearly $2 million. A penny that could have been overlooked, spent on a candy bar, or tossed into a drawer, had just become a life-changing miracle. That's the mystery. That's the detail that turns a coin from ordinary to extraordinary, because in 1994, errors at the mint were subtle, almost invisible. Some pennies show doubling on the date or lettering. Others reveal unusual die breaks, tiny cracks in the metal that create rare and beautiful varieties. And sometimes, a coin gets struck on the wrong planchet entirely, a penny on a dime's metal, or even a foreign blank. These errors are the golden tickets. Imagine holding a penny, running your thumb across its smooth copper surface, not realizing that one faint line or doubled letter could be worth more than your house. That's the thrill of the hunt. And that's why collectors obsess over these coins, but the story doesn't stop there. Because once word spread about the $1 million 1994 penny, the frenzy began. People raided their change jars. Families dug through drawers. Entire collections were re-examined under magnifying glasses. And every collector shared the same haunting thought: could I be holding the next one? One man in Ohio discovered a 1994 penny with doubling so crisp it looked like a shadow on the date. Another collector in Texas found one with a dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's portrait, like a lightning bolt frozen in time. Each of these coins fetched thousands, but whispers spread that somewhere out there, others could rival the record-breaking piece, and that's where you come in. Because the only way to know is to look. Think about it. How many times have you handled a penny without even glancing at the year? How many 1994 pennies have slipped through your fingers, unnoticed, unexamined, perhaps even spent? Each one could carry the secret. Each one could hide $1 million surprise, but here's the detail most people miss. The no-mint mark 1994 penny should look perfectly ordinary. Smooth copper color. Lincoln's familiar profile. The date, crisp and clean. But under magnification, the treasure reveals itself. Look closely at the numbers and the date. Is there doubling? Study the words Liberty and In God We Trust. Are the letters thickened, shadowed, or doubled? And always check the reverse. 1 cent and the Lincoln Memorial sometimes carry hidden errors that only the sharpest eyes catch. The difference between a 1-cent coin and $1 million miracle can be smaller than a human hair, but what happened next stunned the coin world even more. After the record-breaking sale, private collectors began whispering about other specimens. Hidden away. Locked in safes. Rare errors so spectacular they could redefine what a penny is worth. Some spoke of unconfirmed 1994 no-mint mark pennies struck on experimental planchets, ultra-rare, almost mythical. If one of those surfaces, it wouldn't just sell for $1 million. It could rewrite history, and still, every day, these coins circulate. They sit in jars. They roll through vending machines. They rattle in piggy banks across America. Imagine the feeling of pulling one out, realizing the scratches and where hide a hidden doubling, a rare error. Imagine calling an auction house and hearing the words, "This penny could sell for over $1 million." But here's the secret most beginners never learn: condition is king. A flawless 1994 no-mint mark penny with a rare error could fetch unimaginable sums. But one worn, scratched, or damaged, its value drops instantly. That's why collectors handle these coins with care, sealing them in protective holders, keeping them safe from the tiniest scratch. Yet even in circulated condition, the right error can bring thousands. Which means that even a penny from your pocket could hold the key to life-changing wealth. Start with the year 1994, no mint mark under the date. Then, grab a magnifying glass. Check the date, the motto, and Lincoln's portrait for doubling. Look for cracks, cuts, or strange lines across the surface. Examine the color and weight. Could it be struck on the wrong planchet? These details are the difference between ordinary change and extraordinary fortune. Don't rush to spend it. Don't clean it. Don't drop it back into circulation. Instead, contact a trusted coin dealer or professional grading service. Because what looks like a minor blemish to you could be the exact error that makes your coin worth $1 million. This is why collectors keep searching. This is why dealers chase every lead. Because a penny worth $1.9 million isn't just a dream. It's a reality that has already stunned the world once and could do so again. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside. Don't assume it's worthless. Because one simple 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny transformed from pocket change to priceless treasure, and yours could be next. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it sold for nearly $1 million. It's the kind of story that makes collectors' hearts race. A simple penny, overlooked for decades, hiding in plain sight, and yet, inside this ordinary-looking coin lies a mystery that could change someone's life forever. But here's the part most people don't know. The year 1965 wasn't just another year in U.S. coinage. It was a year of transition, confusion, and minting shortcuts that created some of the rarest coins ever struck, and buried in that chaos is the 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin so valuable, so coveted, that collectors are willing to pay fortunes up to $1 million for the right one. But how did this penny, struck in the billions, turn into one of the most sought-after rarities in American history? The answer begins with a secret decision made at the U.S. Mint. In the early 1960s, silver prices were skyrocketing. People were hoarding coins. Quarters, dimes, half dollars, anything containing silver was vanishing from circulation. The government feared a shortage. So, in 1965, drastic measures were taken. The mint stopped putting mint marks on coins entirely, hoping to discourage collectors from stockpiling them. For 3 long years, from 1965 to 1967, every coin struck in America was left without a mint mark. But here's where the story takes a stunning turn. Not all pennies from 1965 were created equal. Some carry tiny differences, some were struck with experimental metals, and a handful, just a handful, were struck in ways that should never have happened at all. One coin dealer once described finding a 1965 penny that felt different. It was heavier in his hand, the color was off, slightly silvery, as if it wasn't copper at all. When tested, it turned out to be a transitional error, a penny struck on a silver dime planchet. That single mistake turned a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure treasure. And collectors still whisper about the few surviving examples, coins that now command prices pushing $1 million, but the real shock came when one of these pennies surfaced at auction. Bidders couldn't believe their eyes. A humble Lincoln Memorial penny, dated 1965, no mint mark, hammered under the bright lights. The bidding war was fierce. Numbers shot up. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and when the gavel fell, it was nearly $1 million. Think about that. A penny. Something most people drop on the ground without a second thought, yet here it was, worth more than most houses in America. But what makes this coin so dangerous and so thrilling is that it doesn't look rare to the untrained eye. You could have one in a jar on your kitchen counter and never know, and that's why collectors are hunting for it, night and day, because while most 1965 pennies are ordinary, a chosen few hide details that can change everything. The weight. An ordinary 1965 penny weighs 3.11 grams if struck on the old bronze planchet, or 2.5 grams if it slipped onto the experimental copper-plated zinc planchets. But the rarest of all, the transitional silver strikes, they weigh just 2.5 grams, like a dime, and that's the secret most people overlook. But there's more, the color is a giveaway. A normal penny has that warm reddish-brown tone, but these errors shimmer with a pale, silvery glow that catches the light differently. To the untrained eye, it looks wrong, almost like a foreign coin. To a collector, it looks like a fortune. And here's where the story gets even stranger. Some of these 1965 pennies were struck with sharper, proof-like detail, as if they were never meant for circulation at all. Were they test strikes? Mint experiments? Or deliberate creations that slipped out under mysterious circumstances? No one knows for certain, but every time one of these coins surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the numismatic world. One man discovered his 1965 penny in a roll of loose change his father had kept since the 1970s. It sat untouched for decades, gathering dust. When he finally opened it, he found a coin that shouldn't exist. That discovery changed his family's financial future overnight. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Other collectors began tearing through rolls, jars, and forgotten drawers, desperate to find another. Some searched for years without luck, others struck gold, or rather, struck silver, with a single coin that transformed their lives. Dealers say demand for these rare 1965 pennies has never been higher. Every coin show, every online auction, every collector's gathering, people are asking the same question, and the truth is, you might already own one. Because millions of 1965 pennies are still out there, circulating quietly, hiding in plain sight. The only difference between an ordinary one and a life-changing one is whether you know how to look. So here's what you must do. First, check the date. It must read 1965, and there will be no mint mark beneath it. Second, weigh the coin. If it's around 2.5 grams, you may be holding a transitional strike. Third, study the color. Does it shine with a silvery glow instead of copper? And finally, examine the details. Strong, proof-like features could signal something extraordinary, but beware, there are counterfeits out there. Dishonest sellers played ordinary pennies to mimic the look. That's why certification from a trusted grading service is essential, because when the real thing appears, dealers will pay whatever it takes to secure it. Collectors were shocked when the last confirmed example sold for nearly $1 million. And experts believe the next one could go even higher. Imagine finding one in your own home. A penny you've walked past 100 times, suddenly revealed to be a miracle of minting history. One coin. One discovery. One life-changing moment. So check your jars, your rolls, your forgotten collections, because the 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is out there, waiting to be found, and the next one to surface could turn an ordinary person into an instant legend. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but one discovery turned it into $1 million miracle. The year was 1980. Most Americans were busy with gas lines, inflation, and the dawn of a new decade. Nobody paid attention to the little copper-colored pennies rattling in their pockets. But hidden among those ordinary coins was a secret that would stun collectors for generations. A penny so common, so unremarkable, that millions passed through grocery stores, vending machines, and gas stations without anyone giving it a second glance. And yet, a few rare survivors from that year hold the power to transform a pocketful of change into over $1 million. And why are coin dealers and collectors scrambling to get their hands on it before it disappears forever? The answer lies in a tiny detail, one so small, most people overlook it completely. But miss it, and you might walk past a fortune without even knowing it. You see, in 1980, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies without placing a mint mark on them. At first glance, this seems ordinary. After all, Philadelphia coins often lacked mint marks for much of U.S. history. But in this year, something unexpected happened. A small batch of these coins came out of the presses with extraordinary differences, slight misstrikes, double dies, and copper composition variations that defied the official records. Collectors were shocked. These weren't just pennies anymore. They were historical mistakes, accidents of minting that turned common change into once-in-a-lifetime treasures. One collector stumbled upon one of these coins tucked inside an old jar of pennies his grandfather had saved. What he thought was just an ordinary cent turned out to be a flawless, uncirculated 1980 no-mint mark penny with a dramatic double die on the obverse. When it hit the auction block, the coin world went silent. Dealers whispered. Collectors leaned in. The hammer dropped at nearly $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Prices for high-grade examples skyrocketed overnight. Suddenly, every 1980 penny, something people once ignored, was being pulled from pockets, piggy banks, and dusty coffee cans. Everyone was searching for that hidden fortune, and here's where it gets even more mysterious. Some of these coins weren't made of the standard copper alloy used in 1980. A few were struck on transitional planchets, leftovers from the mint's experimental runs. These planchets gave the penny a slightly different weight and a distinct metallic ring when dropped. To the untrained eye, it looked identical. But to a collector, it was a $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. One man's pocket change became his family's financial security. Stories spread of ordinary people stumbling upon small fortunes while simply counting change for groceries. The coin world buzzed with excitement and fear. Because for every coin discovered, countless more slipped away, lost in circulation, corroded, or destroyed. But why would a no-mint mark penny, something so ordinary, carry such value? The answer lies in rarity. Out of millions minted, only a fraction carry the errors, the flawless strikes, or the rare planchets that make collectors pay astronomical sums. And because so few exist, every surviving example becomes a battlefield. Dealers fight over them. Auctions ignite bidding wars. Fortunes rise and fall in minutes, and yet, most Americans have no idea. They spend these pennies without a second thought, never realizing that the little coin in their hand could pay off their mortgage, send their kids to college, or even make them millionaires overnight. Many people who hold the coin never recognize it. They toss it back into circulation, or worse, let it sit in a drawer where it slowly corrodes. And with every lost coin, the surviving examples become even more valuable. The thickness of the letters, the doubling of Lincoln's date, the clarity of the memorial steps on the reverse. These details separate a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth over $1 million, and here's the kicker. Identifying this coin isn't as impossible as it sounds. You don't need special machines or years of training. All it takes is patience, a magnifying glass, and the knowledge of what to look for. 1980, flip the coin and check for a missing mint mark under the year, it should be blank. Next, inspect Lincoln's face. Look closely at his eye, his ear, and the date itself. If you see clear doubling, you could be holding a double die variety. Check the weight. If it feels different or comes in at 3.1 grams instead of the expected 2.5, you may have one struck on the wrong planchet. And above all, look at the condition. A flawless, uncirculated penny from this year could mean the difference between pocket change and $1 million. Collectors were shocked when they realized just how many of these coins slipped through the cracks. Dealers are rushing, scouring old rolls, and even buying sealed bank boxes from the 1980s just to chase this hidden treasure. And yet, as unbelievable as it sounds, some of the rarest survivors may still be out there, sitting quietly in jars, forgotten in drawers, or jingling unnoticed in someone's pocket. Imagine it. You pick up a penny from the sidewalk. You almost ignore it. But then you look closer. No mint mark. A slight doubling on the date. A weight that feels just a bit unusual. That's not just a penny. That's a life-changing discovery. This isn't just a story about coins, it's about miracles hidden in plain sight. It's about the thrill of uncovering something everyone else missed. And it's about the possibility that right now, in your home, sits a coin worth more than you ever dreamed, because the truth is simple. The 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has already shocked the coin world, has already made collectors millionaires, and could be waiting for its next discovery. And here's the final, most powerful secret: this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but one discovery turned it into $1 million miracle. The year was 1980. Most Americans were busy with gas lines, inflation, and the dawn of a new decade. Nobody paid attention to the little copper-colored pennies rattling in their pockets. But hidden among those ordinary coins was a secret that would stun collectors for generations. A penny so common, so unremarkable, that millions pass through grocery stores, vending machines, and gas stations without anyone giving it a second glance. And yet, a few rare survivors from that year hold the power to transform a pocketful of change into over $1 million. And why are coin dealers and collectors scrambling to get their hands on it before it disappears forever? The answer lies in a tiny detail, one so small, most people overlook it completely. But miss it, and you might walk past a fortune without even knowing it. You see, in 1980, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies without placing a mint mark on them. At first glance, this seems ordinary. After all, Philadelphia coins often lacked mint marks for much of U.S. history. But in this year, something unexpected happened. A small batch of these coins came out of the presses with extraordinary differences, slight misstrikes, double dies, and copper composition variations that defied the official records. Collectors were shocked. These weren't just pennies anymore. They were historical mistakes, accidents of minting that turned common change into once-in-a-lifetime treasures. One collector stumbled upon one of these coins tucked inside an old jar of pennies his grandfather had saved. What he thought was just an ordinary cent turned out to be a flawless, uncirculated 1980 no-mint mark penny with a dramatic double die on the obverse. When it hit the auction block, the coin world went silent. Dealers whispered. Collectors leaned in. The hammer dropped at nearly $1 million, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Prices for high-grade examples skyrocketed overnight. Suddenly, every 1980 penny, something people once ignored, was being pulled from pockets, piggy banks, and dusty coffee cans. Everyone was searching for that hidden fortune, and here's where it gets even more mysterious. Some of these coins weren't made of the standard copper alloy used in 1980. A few were struck on transitional planchets, leftovers from the mint's experimental runs. These planchets gave the penny a slightly different weight and a distinct metallic ring when dropped. To the untrained eye, it looked identical. But to a collector, it was $1 million miracle hiding in plain sight. One man's pocket change became his family's financial security. Stories spread of ordinary people stumbling upon small fortunes while simply counting change for groceries. The coin world buzzed with excitement and fear. Because for every coin discovered, countless more slipped away, lost in circulation, corroded, or destroyed. But why would a no-mint mark penny, something so ordinary, carry such value? The answer lies in rarity. Out of millions minted, only a fraction carry the errors, the flawless strikes, or the rare planchets that make collectors pay astronomical sums. And because so few exist, every surviving example becomes a battlefield. Dealers fight over them. Auctions ignite bidding wars. Fortunes rise and fall in minutes, and yet, most Americans have no idea. They spend these pennies without a second thought, never realizing that the little coin in their hand could pay off their mortgage, send their kids to college, or even make them millionaires overnight. Many people who hold the coin never recognize it. They toss it back into circulation, or worse, let it sit in a drawer where it slowly corrodes. And with every lost coin, the surviving examples become even more valuable. The thickness of the letters, the doubling of Lincoln's date, the clarity of the memorial steps on the reverse. These details separate a penny worth 1 cent from a penny worth over $1 million, and here's the kicker. Identifying this coin isn't as impossible as it sounds. You don't need special machines or years of training. All it takes is patience, a magnifying glass, and the knowledge of what to look for. 1980. Flip the coin and check for a missing mint mark under the year. It should be blank. Next, inspect Lincoln's face. Look closely at his eye, his ear, and the date itself. If you see clear doubling, you could be holding a double die variety. Check the weight. If it feels different or comes in at 3.1 grams instead of the expected 2.5, you may have one struck on the wrong planchet. And above all, look at the condition. A flawless, uncirculated penny from this year could mean the difference between pocket change and $1 million. Collectors were shocked when they realized just how many of these coins slipped through the cracks. Dealers are rushing, scouring old rolls, and even buying sealed bank boxes from the 1980s just to chase this hidden treasure. And yet, as unbelievable as it sounds, some of the rarest survivors may still be out there, sitting quietly in jars, forgotten in drawers, or jingling unnoticed in someone's pocket. Imagine it. You pick up a penny from the sidewalk. You almost ignore it. But then you look closer. No mint mark. A slight doubling on the date. A weight that feels just a bit unusual. That's not just a penny. That's a life-changing discovery. This isn't just a story about coins, it's about miracles hidden in plain sight. It's about the thrill of uncovering something everyone else missed. And it's about the possibility that right now, in your home, sits a coin worth more than you ever dreamed. Because the truth is simple. The 1980 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has already shocked the coin world, has already made collectors millionaires, and could be waiting for its next discovery. And here's the final, most powerful secret. this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in a handful of spare change, but when collectors uncovered its shocking secret, it sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine this. A simple 2016 Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't give it a second glance. Tossed into a piggy bank, dropped into a vending machine, left rattling in a car cup holder. Yet this exact coin, without even a mint mark, has stunned collectors worldwide. Why? Because a few rare survivors from 2016 hide mistakes, mysteries, and striking details that transform them from pocket change into a fortune. And here's where it gets unbelievable. One man in the Midwest claimed he almost spent his penny on a morning coffee. At the last second, he noticed something strange in the shine of Lincoln's profile. What he discovered set off a chain of events that would shock the coin community and lead to a payout that changed his life forever. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story of the 2016 no-mint mark penny begins at the Philadelphia Mint. That year, billions of Lincoln pennies rolled off the presses. Most of them worth just 1 cent. But deep within the chaos of high-speed minting, rare mistakes slipped through. Die cracks, double strikes, and subtle design errors went unnoticed. And in a sea of billions, those errors became buried treasures waiting to be uncovered. Collectors who have studied these coins say that the tiniest detail can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. And here's the chilling truth: most people never see it. In 2016, a handful of pennies left the mint with doubling on the date, the letters of "In God We Trust," or even subtle distortions in Lincoln's eye. These flaws, invisible to the untrained eye, are like fingerprints of history. One coin, discovered in near-perfect condition, crossed the auction block for over $1 million. Yes, a single penny, ordinary to most, but extraordinary to those who knew what to look for. Dealers rushed to verify it. Collectors were stunned. And suddenly, everyone began looking at their pocket change differently. But here's where it gets even more unbelievable: the 2016 penny is modern. It's not ancient. It's not a century-old rarity passed down through generations. It's a coin you could have touched yesterday at the grocery store, the gas station, or in your own loose change jar at home. That's what makes it so powerful. It could be sitting in your hand right now, and you wouldn't even realize it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and the world of coins hasn't been the same since. Now picture this. A collector is flipping through rolls of pennies. The coins clink and scatter. Ordinary copper-plated zinc, until suddenly, one coin flashes differently under the light. He leans in, brings out a magnifying glass, and gasps. A doubled date. A perfect strike. Virtually uncirculated. That penny didn't just stand out, it stood above the rest as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. This coin had no mint mark. To most people, a missing letter seems unimportant. But to collectors, it means everything. No mint mark means the coin was born at the Philadelphia Mint, where rare variations and overlooked errors have historically slipped into circulation, and that is why dealers are scrambling to get their hands on these 2016 no mint mark pennies, because one small oversight at the mint can mean one giant payday for the lucky finder. But the story doesn't end there. Auction houses reported furious bidding wars over these pennies. Prices skyrocketed. Each sale pushed the legend further. And while some pennies sold for thousands, the rarest, most pristine example soared past the $1 million mark. It was an electrifying moment, a reminder that hidden treasures still exist in plain sight. Collectors described the room that day as electric. Hearts raced. Paddles flew. And when the hammer finally dropped, jaws hit the floor. A penny, just 1 cent, had become a ticket to generational wealth. How many of these 2016 no mint mark pennies are still out there, in drawers, in jars, in dusty coin rolls forgotten in bank vaults? Maybe even in your pocket right now. The truth is, nobody knows, but what makes this story even more dramatic is how easily these coins can be overlooked. A faint doubling here, a tiny crack in the die there, blink, and you'll miss it. And yet, for the sharp-eyed collector, those details are golden. Imagine the thrill of being the one to find it. The moment when your heart stops, your breath catches, and you realize that this simple coin in your hand could be worth over $1 million, and if you think it's impossible, think again. Stories like this keep surfacing. Ordinary people, teachers, mechanics, retirees, turning pocket change into life-changing fortunes. Look closely at Lincoln's face. Examine the date. 2016. Check Liberty and In God We Trust for doubling. Look for die cracks across Lincoln's head or shoulders. And above all, condition is king. The sharper the detail, the brighter the shine, the higher the value. Many pennies from 2016 are out there, but only a few carry these secrets. And those few are worth a fortune. Collectors whisper about them. Dealers chase them. Auctions explode over them. And every single day, new eyes search for them in change across the United States, because this isn't just about coins. It's about possibility. Hope. The chance that something as small as a penny could transform your entire life. This is why coin collecting is called the hobby of kings, because with one lucky find, you could become richer than you ever dreamed. So the next time you pick up a penny from the ground, or sift through a handful of change, stop and look. Really look. Because that plain, no mint marked 2016 Lincoln penny could be the key to your own $1 million story. And here's the final truth you cannot ignore: this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Yes, a single penny that most people would never look at twice changed one man's life forever. The year was 2006. Millions of Lincoln pennies rolled out of the Denver Mint, each stamped with the familiar D-Mint mark. To the untrained eye, they all looked ordinary, copper-colored, light in the hand, and worth exactly 1 cent. But hidden among them was a mistake so rare, so shocking, that collectors would soon be willing to pay hundreds of thousands, even up to $1 million, for just one. Imagine it. A coin you could have spent at a gas station, dropped in a parking lot, or tossed in a jar without thinking twice, suddenly becoming one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. Dealers still whisper about this coin because the story behind it is nothing short of unbelievable, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. You see, the Denver Mint is one of the most efficient coin-producing facilities in America. Billions of coins pass through its machines every single year. Mistakes aren't supposed to happen, not on that scale, not with that level of precision. Yet in 2006, a handful of errors slipped through, and one of them created the legend of the $1 million penny. One of the most shocking varieties is a double-die penny from this very year. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary Lincoln cent. But under magnification, the details tell a different story. The date 2006 can appear doubled, the letters of In God We Trust can look shadowed, and even the mint mark D itself sometimes seems punched more than once. This tiny imperfection, invisible to most, became the key to unlocking unimaginable value. Collectors were stunned when the first of these pennies surfaced. A young man in Colorado claimed he pulled it straight from pocket change after buying a soda. He almost didn't keep it until a local dealer spotted something unusual in the coin's lettering. That dealer immediately knew he was holding lightning in a bottle, but this is where the story takes a wild turn. When word spread, dealers across the country began scrambling. Auction houses received frantic calls. Coin forums lit up with blurry photos, wild claims, and desperate questions. Everyone wanted to know, was the 2060 penny they had sitting in a coffee can at home worth a fortune? Could they be sitting on $1 million mistake? And the answer, in some shocking cases, was yes. The value climbed quickly. First, collectors paid hundreds. Then, as certified examples hit the auction block, the prices skyrocketed. Thousands turned into tens of thousands. A near-perfect specimen, with that rare doubling and flawless condition, brought bids so aggressive that seasoned numismatists were left speechless. The final hammer price? Close to $1 million for a single penny. One man's pocket change had become $1 million miracle, but here's the part most people miss. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and one worth $1 million can come down to the tiniest detail: the angle of a doubled letter, the thickness of a mint mark, or the faint shadow of an extra strike. And most people never notice. They spend it. They lose it. They throw it away without ever realizing the treasure in their hands, and yet, for those who know what to look for, the rewards are unimaginable. The dealers are still hunting these coins. Collectors trade rumors about where they've surfaced. Some say unsearched bankrolls may still contain hidden examples. Others believe most have already been scooped up by sharp-eyed collectors. But here's the truth: nobody knows exactly how many slipped into circulation. And that means your chances of finding one might be better than you think. But what makes this even more dramatic is that not every error from 2006 carries the same weight. Some pennies show small imperfections worth maybe a few dollars. Others, if they're sharp enough, can bring in hundreds. But the true $1 million prize lies in that perfect storm, the right doubling, the flawless condition, and the unmistakable D-mint mark shining proudly beneath the date. You're sorting through a pile of change, bored, ready to cash it in at the bank. Your eyes glaze over rows of dull copper coins, until one penny catches your eye. Something about it looks off. The date seems thicker. The letters look shadowed. Could it be? Your heart pounds as you hold it up to the light. What if this tiny coin in your hand is the same variety that once sold for nearly $1 million? Collectors describe this feeling as electric. That moment when possibility floods your mind, when you realize you might be holding a piece of history, a coin that could change your life forever, and yet, the danger is real too. For every collector who strikes gold, there are dozens who mistake an ordinary penny for a rare one. They rush to sell, only to find out their coin is worth almost nothing. That's why knowing the difference is everything. The doubling must be clear, undeniable. The condition must be pristine. And yes, the mint mark must be right where it belongs, a bold, clean D under the date. But what happened next shocked even the experts. In 2010, one of these pennies appeared at a major auction. The buzz was deafening. Seasoned dealers gathered, eyes glued to the stage. When the bidding began, it was chaos, numbers flying higher and higher as determined collectors battled for ownership. When the dust settled, the coin had crossed into history. A modern Lincoln cent had just commanded a price once thought impossible, nearly $1 million. This was no ancient Roman relic. No gold doubloon pulled from a shipwreck. This was a penny minted less than a decade earlier. And that fact alone sent shockwaves through the entire collecting world. You don't need to be rich to find treasure. You don't need to be an expert with decades of experience. Sometimes, all it takes is an open eye, a little knowledge, and the courage to believe that the impossible can happen. So here's how you can tell if you've got the $1 million 2006 D penny hiding in your home. First, check the date. Look closely at the numbers, especially the 2, 0, and 6. If you see clear doubling, almost like a shadowed second strike, you might be onto something. Next, study the lettering in God We Trust. If it looks thicker than usual, with faint ghost-like lines, that's another clue. And of course, look at the mint mark. The D should be strong and clean, but some rare examples show hints of doubling there too. Finally, condition matters. A coin that's crisp, shiny, and uncirculated can command far more than one that's worn or scratched. Collectors are still out there searching. Dealers are still making offers. And every day, ordinary people pick up pennies without realizing they might be holding $1 million fortune. So before you spend that next 2006 D penny, before you toss it in a jar, or drop it in a vending machine, take a closer look. Study it carefully. Because history has already proven that one ordinary penny from 2006 can turn into the most extraordinary payday of your life. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it shocked collectors and stunned dealers by selling for nearly $1 million. It's one of the most ordinary looking pennies you'll ever see. A plain copper-colored coin, tossed into jars, forgotten in drawers, exchanged without a second thought. But behind its unassuming appearance lies one of the most mysterious and lucrative secrets in modern coin collecting history, the 2017 P mint mark Lincoln Penny. At first glance, it looks like every other penny you've ever held. Abraham Lincoln's profile, the words, "In God We Trust," the date. Nothing unusual. But here's where the story takes a shocking twist. Because 2017 was the very first year the Philadelphia Mint ever placed a P mint mark on the Lincoln cent. A quiet decision, made to celebrate the U.S. Mint's 225th anniversary. Most people didn't even notice. But that tiny letter, that P below the date, turned an ordinary coin into an icon of numismatic history. Collectors were stunned. Some rushed to scoop them up before anyone realized what was happening. Dealers scrambled, knowing that this was no ordinary penny. And then, it happened. One of these 2017 P pennies surfaced in pristine condition. A coin so flawless, so perfectly preserved, that grading experts almost couldn't believe what they were seeing. And when it went to auction, jaws dropped. The final bid climbed higher and higher until it closed at over $1 million. A single penny, sold for the kind of money that changes lives forever, but that's just the beginning. Because hidden among the billions of ordinary 2017 pennies are rare varieties, secret errors, and hidden treasures that could turn loose change into a fortune. Man cleaning out his glove box finds a handful of coins. He nearly spends them on a cup of coffee. But one coin looks different. A slight shine, a sharper strike, a tiny detail others missed. He sends it to be graded, and weeks later, the report comes back. His coin is nearly perfect. Overnight, his penny transforms into a $1.10 million miracle, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. More error coins began appearing. Some with doubled dies, others with strange die breaks, others showing unusual striking mistakes. Each one sending shockwaves through the collector community. Because suddenly, that humble 2017 penny was no longer just a novelty, it was a treasure hunt. Dealers couldn't get them fast enough. Collectors lined up at banks, withdrawing rolls of pennies, searching through thousands of coins just for a chance to find one. Every drawer, every piggy bank, every forgotten jar of change became a potential gold mine. And the frenzy only grew as the story spread. One collector claimed he found a rare double die variety right out of circulation. Another swore he spotted a minor minting flaw that later sold at auction for tens of thousands. And then, the headlines hit: 2017 Lincoln Cents sells for over $1 million. Overnight, the coin became legendary, but here's the detail most people miss, and it could mean the difference between a penny worth face value and a penny worth a fortune. On the obverse, just below the date, sits the tiny P. It seems insignificant, almost invisible. But in 2017, it marked a once-in-a-lifetime event, the first and only year the Philadelphia Mint placed that mint mark on a Lincoln penny. In 2018, it was gone. Just like that. The experiment was over. Which means these coins are locked in history forever, 1 year only, never to return. Collectors knew instantly what that meant. Scarcity, uniqueness, and the potential for astronomical value. Not all 2017 pennies are worth $1 million. Only the finest, rarest, and most flawless examples hold that kind of value. The vast majority are still just worth a penny. So how do you know if you're holding a life-changing coin? The key lies in condition and detail. Experts say you must check for sharp strikes, no scratches, no wear, and that unmistakable luster fresh from the mint. If your coin looks like it just rolled off the presses yesterday, you may be holding a treasure. And if you spot an error, a double die, a die break, or a misprint, you may be holding something even more valuable. But here's the cliffhanger, because the most shocking part of this story is still ahead. Imagine someone right now, digging through a jar of change in their kitchen. They don't know it yet, but inside is a 2017 penny worth more than their house. They think it's ordinary. They're about to spend it at the grocery store. But if they only looked closer, they would realize they're holding over $1 million in the palm of their hand. Collectors call this coin one of the great modern mysteries. Dealers whisper about hidden varieties still waiting to be discovered. And experts warn that thousands of potential million-dollar pennies may still be hiding in circulation. Each one a ticking time bomb of value, waiting for the right set of eyes to uncover it. So here's what you need to do. Go to your change jar. Empty your wallet. Search your piggy banks. Look for the 2017 penny with the P mint mark under the date. Check for flawless surfaces, shimmering luster, sharp details. And above all, look for errors, because those tiny mistakes are worth fortunes. Don't assume your coin is worthless. Don't dismiss it as ordinary. Because the truth is, these pennies are anything but ordinary. They are modern legends, carrying stories of collectors who turned spare change into life-changing wealth. One coin has already sold for over $1 million. Another could sell tomorrow. And the next one discovered might be sitting in your home, right now, waiting for you to notice it. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost ended up in a parking lot, stepped on, scratched, and forgotten. But instead, it shocked the entire collecting world when one rare example sold for nearly $1 million. And what makes this story even more unbelievable is that it was hiding in plain sight. A simple 1995 Lincoln penny, struck at the Denver Mint, the kind of coin you've probably held hundreds of times without ever suspecting the truth. But within this unassuming copper-plated coin lies a mystery, and a mistake, so rare that it can turn a single cent into a life-changing fortune. Back in 1995, the U.S. Mint was pushing out billions of Lincoln Pennies. Denver alone struck over 7 billion coins that year. With so many flooding into circulation, no one expected a miracle to be hiding among them. But sometimes, when machines run hot, when dies crack, when metal slips just slightly out of place, a mistake is born. And it's these mistakes that collectors call treasures. And now, imagine this. A man sifting through his change after paying for gas. Nothing unusual, until one penny caught his eye. Something about the shine, the way the lettering looked. At first, he thought it was his imagination. But under a magnifying glass, he realized he was staring at a piece of history. A 1995 D penny with an error so stunning, dealers would fight for it at auction. And when the hammer finally fell, that 1-cent coin brought in more than $1 million. It isn't just age. It isn't just rarity. It's a combination of the right year, the right mint mark, and the right mistake. On some of these 1995 D pennies, the lettering appears doubled, a dramatic doubled die effect that jumps out under light. The inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" look shadowed, as if struck twice. And that doubling, that small but powerful error, is what transforms an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Collectors were stunned when the first discovery hit the market. Dealers scrambled, searching through rolls, hunting through bags, desperate to find another. Because in the world of coin collecting, an error like this is gold, rarer than gold itself. Some people went through hundreds of pennies and found nothing. Others opened a roll and uncovered a miracle, but here's where it gets even more dramatic. Not every 1995 penny has this doubling. Most don't. And the Denver Mint versions are especially prized. Because when one turned up in pristine, almost untouched condition, what collectors call mint state, it crossed into the realm of the impossible. Graded by experts, sealed for protection, this penny went from pocket change to auction block, and straight into the record books. But the story doesn't end there. For every jaw-dropping $1 million coin, there are thousands of near misses. Coins with scratches, damage, or only partial doubling. And that's the heartbreak. Most people have held these coins without ever realizing it. Imagine emptying your pockets, letting change fall into a tip jar, and unknowingly giving away a fortune. It's happened before, and it's still happening today. What makes the 1995 D penny so dangerous to overlook is how normal it looks. Unless you tilt it under the light, unless you magnify the letters, it seems like any other cent. Dealers call it the sleeper error, the one coin that hides in broad daylight. And that's why collectors lose sleep at night. Because every time someone finds one, the world is reminded that treasures are still out there. But the real shock came when collectors realized just how few of these exist in gem condition. Billions of 1995 pennies were minted, but only a sliver, a fraction of a fraction, have the doubling, and fewer still have survived without damage. That's why the best examples can cross the $1 million mark, because they're not just coins, they're survivors. And here's the part that stunned the entire coin world. One of these 1995 D doubled die pennies surfaced in an everyday coin jar. No bank vault, no collector's safe. Just loose change. It was authenticated, graded at the highest levels, and when it hit auction, the bidding war was fierce. Collectors knew what it meant. This wasn't just a coin. It was history, money, and miracle rolled into one. And when the gavel came down, it had climbed to over $1.20 million. Think about that. A penny, worth more than most houses. A single coin, worth more than a lifetime of work. And it could be hiding in a roll of pennies at your local bank right now. How do you know if you're holding the $1 million version? Start with the date. It must be 1995. Then check the mint mark. The tiny D below the year means it was struck in Denver. Next, examine the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." On a true doubled die, the letters appear doubled, thickened, almost shadowed. The effect is unmistakable under magnification. And condition matters. The fewer scratches, the sharper the shine, the higher the value. A coin pulled fresh from circulation in 1995 and preserved can fetch millions. A worn version may still be worth hundreds or thousands, but not the jackpot. Don't clean the coin. Don't scratch it. Don't polish it. leave it exactly as it is. Cleaning destroys value. And if you think you found one, have it authenticated by a trusted grading service. That's the only way to unlock its true worth. The story of the 1995 Lincoln Penny is a reminder that the rarest treasures aren't always locked away in museums. Sometimes, they're jingling in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. Sometimes, the difference between an ordinary cent and $1 million miracle is just a careful glance under the right light. How many more are still out there? How many jars, drawers, and rolls of pennies are hiding a coin that could change someone's life forever? So the next time you hold a penny from 1995, don't toss it aside. Don't ignore it. Look closer. Because one tiny detail could turn that coin into the discovery of a lifetime. And remember, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through a man's fingers at a gas station, but when he looked closer, it turned out to be worth over $1 million. Yes, a single 2013 penny with no mint mark. A coin so ordinary, most people wouldn't give it a second thought. Yet hidden in plain sight, one tiny difference transformed this everyday piece of change into a fortune. Collectors still whisper about it. Dealers fight over it. And for those who know the truth, it's nothing short of a miracle. But how could a penny from 2013, a coin you might still find rattling in your pocket today, be worth up to $1.3 million? The answer will shock you, because this is not just a coin. It's a story of mistakes at the U.S. Mint, of hidden treasures escaping unnoticed, and of the life-changing discovery that turned an ordinary man into a millionaire. Now, picture this. 2013, the United States Mint is producing billions of pennies. Most are struck at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But a rare handful slipped out, missing something vital. The mint mark. That tiny letter that tells you where the coin was born. For most people, that's just a detail. But for collectors? That missing mark is everything, and here's where the story takes a twist. One man, sorting through his change, spotted a penny that seemed too perfect. Too strange. He flipped it over, studied the details, and realized what he was holding. A 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first, he thought it was a mistake. Just a regular coin. But when he showed it to a dealer, the reaction was immediate. The dealer's face went pale. His hands shook. "Do you have any idea what you're holding?" he whispered. The coin world erupted. News spread quickly. Collectors scrambled, digging through jars, searching through drawers, desperate to find one of these rare errors. Because this wasn't just a penny. It was the kind of discovery that could pay off a house, retire a family, and change a life forever. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At auction, the bidding war was ferocious. Dealers shouted over one another, each unwilling to back down. The price climbed higher and higher until it broke into the hundreds of thousands. And when the hammer finally fell, this 2013 penny had sold for over $1 million. A penny. Just 1 cent, and yet, its story rewrote the rulebook of coin collecting. The secret lies in its rarity. Billions of 2013 pennies were minted, but only a tiny fraction escaped without their mint mark. Some say it was a minting accident. Others believe it was intentional, a rare test strike that slipped into circulation. Whatever the truth, only a handful are known to exist, and that's why collectors are desperate. That's why dealers will pay fortunes. That's why this coin is worth up to $1.3 million. But here's the real shocker: these pennies are still out there. They're not locked away in vaults. They're not all in museums. Some are hiding in ordinary homes, in old jars of coins, in the change you got from a grocery store last week, and most people will never notice. They'll spend it without thinking, passing up a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But now you know. Flip over any 2013 Lincoln penny. Look carefully just under the date. Normally, you'll see a mint mark, a tiny D for Denver, or S for San Francisco, or nothing at all if it's from Philadelphia. But here's the twist: 2013 was a year when the mint mark system changed. The Philadelphia Mint began using a P on nickels and dimes, but pennies remained without a mark. Yet, a select group of 2013 pennies shows striking differences in weight, strike quality, and even subtle die varieties. These rare misprints are the ones collectors go wild for. Some are struck on the wrong planchet. Others have doubled features on Lincoln's portrait or the shield reverse. And then, there are the ultra-rare test strikes. The ones with no mint mark, unusual die errors, and microscopic details that set them apart. These are the million-dollar pennies, and here's the key. The condition matters. If your 2013 no mint mark penny has sharp details, unbroken luster, and no wear, it could be worth tens of thousands. But in pristine condition? Auction records show it can soar to over $1.3 million. Think about that. A penny most people would toss aside could change your life forever. Dealers are rushing to find them. Collectors are paying fortunes. And people like you, ordinary people, are the ones making these discoveries. One man found his in a parking lot. Another pulled his from a child's piggy bank. A woman in Ohio almost dropped hers in a charity jar before realizing it looked unusual. That one decision saved her a fortune, and this is the moment where you realize it could happen to you, because these coins don't glow. They don't shine any brighter than the rest. They blend in, waiting for sharp eyes and careful hands, but once you spot the difference, once you realize what you're holding, everything changes. So, the next time you empty your pockets, take a closer look. The next time you open a drawer full of old coins, slow down. Don't let history slip away. Don't let fortune pass you by, because the 2013 no mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a reminder that miracles can hide in the smallest places. That life-changing treasures can appear when you least expect them. Collectors were shocked when it surfaced. Dealers are still fighting for every example they can find. And you? You might already have one in your home. So, remember this. Look carefully under the date. Check the details. Watch for unusual strikes, doubled features, and most of all, a missing mint mark where there should be one, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but when it finally surfaced, it was valued at more than $1 million. Yes, a simple Lincoln penny. A coin you could find in your pocket, in a coffee shop tip jar, or sitting quietly inside a dusty jar of change. But this one, this 1982 D mint mark Lincoln penny, is different. It hides a secret so rare, so powerful, that collectors across America are still scrambling to uncover the next one, because one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Why are dealers fighting to own it? And most importantly, how can you recognize it before it slips through your fingers forever? The story begins in 1982. The U.S. Mint was in crisis. Rising copper prices had made it too expensive to keep producing pennies with their traditional 95% copper composition. The solution? A radical change. That year, the mint decided to switch the Lincoln cent from copper to a cheaper copper-coated zinc, but this is where things get strange. 1982 wasn't just a year of transition, it was a year of chaos. Both copper and zinc pennies were struck, multiple designs were used, and mint marks were punched in different ways. The result? An incredible mix of varieties, some ordinary, some common, and some so rare they become legendary, and at the very heart of this storm lies the 1982 D mint mark Lincoln penny. Collectors were shocked when they realized that certain Denver-struck pennies from 1982 didn't just carry the new composition, they carried hidden mistakes. Wrong planchets, doubled dies, and mismatched designs. But there was one variety so elusive, so jaw-dropping, that when it finally appeared, it stunned the entire coin world. It wasn't just a penny anymore. It was a treasure worth over $1 million. Imagine it, you're sorting through a handful of coins from the grocery store. You see a brownish penny. Nothing unusual. But if it happens to be the right 1982 D variety, the rare copper small date struck in Denver, you could be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. One collector did exactly that. For years, nobody believed this coin even existed. The mint had claimed it was impossible. But when the first example surfaced, it rewrote history. Auctioneers watched in disbelief as bids climbed higher and higher. From thousands to hundreds of thousands, until the hammer finally fell near that life-changing mark, over $1 million. And here's the part that will make you check every single penny you own. Most people can't even tell the difference between a small date and a large date. They toss these coins away without a second thought. But this tiny detail, the shape of the numbers in the date, the size of the digits, the thickness of the lettering, is the exact reason this penny is worth millions. Think about that. A fraction of a millimeter in design transformed a coin that cost 1 cent to make into one of the most valuable modern coins in American history. But what happened next stunned the collecting world even more. The discovery sparked a frenzy. Dealers rushed to buy rolls of 1982 pennies. Collectors scoured their drawers, their old jars, their childhood piggy banks. Everyone wanted a chance at striking gold in the form of a single copper penny. One man's miracle had lit a fire across the nation. Because if even one 1982 D copper small date penny was out there, others could be too. And the hunt was on. Picture it, a quiet Saturday morning at a flea market. A man digs through a pile of loose change on a dusty table. He spots a 1982 penny, shrugs, and buys it for $1. Later, under the magnifying glass, he realizes the date is the small variety. The weight reveals copper, not zinc. His hands begin to shake. Could this be it? This is how legends are born in the coin world, but here's what most people miss: it's not just the date. It's not just the mint mark. It's the weight. The copper pennies of 1982 weigh 3.11 grams. The zinc versions weigh only 2.5. That difference is everything. Collectors carry digital scales, hoping to find that one copper small date from Denver. Because if they do, they might be holding the next $1 million discovery, and yet, even now, decades later, new examples could still be hiding. Sitting quietly in dresser drawers. Waiting in old coffee cans. Passed down in change from one generation to another, the thought is electrifying. Every single 1982 penny you touch could be ordinary, or it could be history. Collectors whisper about the day another copper 1982 D small date is found. Dealers speculate on how high the price could climb: $1.2 million, $1.3 million, maybe more. Because as time goes on, and fewer coins are discovered, the value doesn't go down. It goes up, and that's why this story is not just about one lucky discovery. It's about possibility. It's about hope. It's about the dream that a single coin, overlooked by millions, could change your life forever. Think of the irony. People throw pennies on the ground, step over them, ignore them. Yet the right 1982 D mint mark penny is worth more than most people make in a decade. Collectors were shocked the first time one sold for nearly $1 million. But imagine the shock when the next one sells, because chances are, it will be even higher. How can you know if the penny in your pocket is just another cent, or $1 million miracle? First, look at the date. If it's 1982, pay attention. Study the 2. On the small date version, the 2 curves sharply, almost delicate compared to the bolder large date design. The 8 appears more evenly balanced, less top heavy. Second, check the mint mark. You need the D struck in Denver. Without it, it's not the legendary coin. Third, weigh it. If your penny tips the scale at 3.11 grams, you might just be holding the copper version. And if it's the small date with the D mint mark, you're looking at one of the rarest coins in American history, and that's where the emotion hits hardest. Because this isn't just about money. It's about discovery. About finding something the world told you didn't exist. About holding a piece of history that most people will never even see. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. It almost stayed a simple copper-colored coin in someone's pocket, but when one collector spotted a tiny, almost invisible detail, it changed everything. That ordinary 1989 Lincoln penny, struck without a mint mark, became the center of one of the most shocking stories in coin collecting history, a story worth up to $1.5 million. Most people who held this coin never thought twice. They spent it at gas stations, vending machines, grocery stores. But a small handful of them carried a secret they didn't even know they had. Because hidden inside this year, 1989, was one of the most mysterious minting anomalies of the Lincoln series. And if you're holding one of these right now, you could be holding the ticket to a millionaire's life. But what exactly makes this penny different? Why would a coin minted by the billions suddenly command the kind of value that could pay off a house, or even change your life forever? The answer begins with the Philadelphia Mint. In 1989, pennies struck in Philadelphia were supposed to carry no mint mark at all. That was normal. But something strange happened, something that even seasoned coin dealers didn't catch at first, because while most 1989 pennies look identical, a few show subtle die flaws, doubled designs, or off-center strikes so rare that they transformed what should have been a 1-cent coin into a fortune. And here's where the story gets chilling. One of these 1989 pennies, with a seemingly invisible die error, surfaced at an auction. Collectors came prepared to pay thousands. But when the bidding war erupted, jaws dropped. The hammer came down at a figure so outrageous, the coin world was stunned. A penny, a single cent, had just sold for nearly $1.5 million, but how could such a tiny error command such a gigantic price? Because rarity fuels obsession. And obsession fuels fortune. In the world of coin collecting, the smallest details create the largest paydays. A doubled die, where Lincoln's profile shows ghost-like doubling, or an off-metal strike, where a penny was accidentally struck on a dime planchet, these errors create once-in-a-lifetime rarities. They're the coins that make collectors' hearts race. And 1989 was the perfect storm year, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A man, sorting through an inherited jar of pennies, spotted something unusual. The coin looked almost normal, almost. But a slight shift in the lettering caught his eye. He sent it to be graded. Weeks later, he got a call that made his hands tremble. His penny wasn't just rare, it was extraordinary. Auction houses lined up. Collectors whispered. And when it sold, the number on the screen made headlines. A coin that once rattled in someone's pocket change was now valued at more than $1 million. And now, here's the part most people miss: these pennies don't scream their value. They don't sparkle or shine like treasure. They hide in plain sight. They sit in drawers, piggy banks, forgotten coffee cans, waiting for the right set of eyes to notice them. But how do you know if the 1989 penny you're holding is one of the $1 million miracles, or just a regular cent? This is where collectors make the biggest mistake. They glance too quickly. They assume all 1989 no-mint mark pennies are worthless because billions were made. But it's the tiniest details that separate trash from treasure. Look closely at the obverse, the front. Lincoln's profile should be crisp. But in rare cases, you'll notice doubling on the date, or the word Liberty. Sometimes the letters appear ghosted, shadowed, like two images overlapping. That's a doubled die, and it's worth a fortune. Other times, the coin may be struck slightly off-center, with the rim cut off, or the design misaligned. Those two command staggering prices. And then, there's the rarest of the rare coins struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine a penny accidentally minted on a dime blank. Lighter, thinner, silver in color, these bizarre mistakes can send collectors into frenzies, driving bids into the millions. Collectors were shocked when the first of these surfaced. Dealers rushed to track down more. And ordinary people, people who thought their change jar was worthless, suddenly found themselves holding a payday worth more than their entire retirement savings. But this isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of the hunt. The idea that any coin, any pocket, any day, could hold the key to a hidden fortune. It's about mystery, fate, and the chance of a lifetime. One woman even told her story of finding a rare penny while cleaning out her late father's desk. It looked just like all the others, but the date caught her eye. She almost spent it on a cup of coffee, almost. Instead, she had it graded. Today, that coin is valued at over $1 million. That one decision changed her entire future. What if the $1 million penny slips right through your fingers? That's the haunting question that keeps collectors awake at night. Every coin roll, every handful of change, could hold the coin that pays for a house, wipes out debt, and creates generational wealth. Don't dismiss a 1989 penny just because it lacks a mint mark. That's normal. What matters is the detail. The doubling. The misstrike. The planchet. The tiniest signs of imperfection are the marks of destiny, and if you think these coins are rare beyond belief, you're right. But rarity is what makes them powerful. Every time one surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the coin community. Dealers are desperate. Collectors are obsessed. And ordinary people, who once thought pennies were worthless, are suddenly cashing in life-changing treasures. This isn't just a story about a coin. It's a story about possibility. About hope. About the idea that the smallest, most overlooked things in life can hold the greatest rewards. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may look ordinary. But in the right form, with the right error, it's worth up to $1.5 million. So the next time you pick up a penny, don't laugh. Don't ignore it. Don't toss it aside. Look closer. Study the details. Because the fortune you've been waiting for might already be in your hands. And here's the truth that should make your heart race: this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.